Hey everyone, my name is Eva. Welcome back to my channel. And today I wanted to talk about a topic that I was thinking about the past couple of days, and that is things I would tell my younger self. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is not just because I was thinking about it, but I was also looking at photos, and I was looking at really young pictures of me, and I'm like, wow, I've changed so much, and I feel like there's so many things I want to tell her. Like now that I'm gonna be 21 in April, like I was just thinking about this, like there's so many things I want to tell my younger self. Like I wish I could. So that's why I'm making this video. I have a bunch of things written down that I want to talk about real quick. One of the first things I wanted to talk about was I wish I could just tell younger me like what love is, like what genuine love is, because I feel like that concept is so important to know. And obviously I'm not talking about like like romantic love. I'm talking about the concept of love. You know, how it's supposed to be genuine, it's supposed to be respectful, it's supposed to be all sorts of things, you know what I mean? That, in an essence, is very important. You know what I'm saying? Just learning how to be in love, you know? And when the thing is, guys, is people can love us so much. You know what I mean? They can love us to death and say so many nice things about us and, you know, shower us with love and give us gifts. You know, give us gifts, but we don't do that to ourselves, guys. Like, we don't show ourselves love in that regard, and it's kind of sad, you know? And I wish I could tell my younger self, like, that she is just worth every single penny. Like, she is worth it all. And another thing I was thinking about too is I feel like when you're younger and you're learning so many different things and you're trying to learn what you like and, you know, learn how to just become yourself, there's so much judgment in that process, you know? We judge ourselves the hardest, guys. We are our own worst critic. And I know it's hard as a kid. Like, you don't think about it and you do kind of prejudge yourself. But also, like, you're having fun at the same time. But you're trying to learn so many different things and what you like and what you don't like. But I wish I could, like, go back into, like, middle school me. You know what I mean? Like, to not judge myself for everything. Like, critiquing myself with my clothing or, you know, different things like that. So I think I wish I could go back and just tell her, like, hey, you're just experimenting. It's okay. You know? I feel like a lot of us learn this a lot later in life, but you have to be your own best friend, you know? You have to be your own cheerleader. You can't rely on everyone to make you happy. You know what I mean? Like, you have to rely on yourself, you know what I mean? But a lot of people don't learn this until a lot later in life. But as a kid, like I said, you're having fun. You don't really pay attention to that, but you always want people around you. You know what I mean? And you always want to have, like, a bunch of friends. I wish when I was younger that I knew that I could rely on myself. I don't have to rely on a bunch of people to make me happy. I can be happy with myself. So, yeah. When I was younger, I would base a lot of my self-worth on my achievements or what I did in school, or, you know, trophies or awards I got. And I would base my self-worth on that, not who I am as a person or my characteristics or, you know, my personality. I just based a lot of it on, okay, what is it that I can do to achieve something? Like, I think the reason why I did that is because I wanted to make people around me happy and not make myself happy. But it's not it's not a healthy concept to base your self-worth on achievements, and that is something I did when I was a kid. And looking back, seeing the different trophies I have, or, you know, like, I guess awards. Like, I got a couple of awards for, like, dance or stuff like that. That shouldn't determine your self-worth. But as a kid, that's something I did a lot. And I didn't look at, okay, well, my self-worth is based on my personality and my traits and my characteristics. I didn't look at it like that. Even when I was a teenager, I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it as, you know, what is it that I can achieve that determines my self-worth? But that's not right. And it's also not healthy. But I wish I could go back and, like, tell my younger self, like, that stuff doesn't matter, you know? Your achievements don't matter. Who you are as a person, that matters, you know? When you achieve a certain level of success and you feel that at a young age, you don't want to fail. And I feel like failure is a big reason as to why many of us as kids became, like, I don't want to say sad, you know what I mean? But that concept of failure as a kid, you know, I mean, was taught to me, but I was so hard on myself for it, you know, the concept of failure. But as an adult, you know, knowing that failure is a growing experience, it's, you know, a learning experience. That's how you should look at failure. But I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, like, hey, just because you failed doesn't mean that you're a failure. You know what I mean? When you fail, it's actually a growing experience. It's a learning experience. Learning to take up space. You know, that is something I wish when I was younger that I learned to do more of. You know, but as a kid, I would do what all my friends wanted me to do. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, to, like, fit in. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a kid, you know, you kind of do things based on what your friends do. You know what I mean? As an adult, I don't do that anymore, but as a kid, I did that a lot. And I wasn't really myself. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of realizing this, you know, down the road, like a long time later, you know, I'm starting to realize that I did a lot of things based off of what my friends did. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I wasn't myself, but I didn't learn how to take up my own space and learn to just be. You know what I mean? To just be myself. I didn't do that, so I wish I'd go back and be like, hey, like, take up the space. You know what I mean? Like, you can, you know, be yourself, and you can wear the clothes you want. You can talk the way you want to talk. You can be proud of certain things that maybe people don't understand, you know? And that's okay. I wish I could just go back and say to her, like, hey, you know, like, people might not understand who you are, this side of you, but don't be afraid to show that side of yourself, you know? And as an adult, I'm starting to realize that I'm doing that now more, as I'm starting to take up more space and learning to become more like myself. And certain things that I used to hide as a kid, I'm now, like, embracing more, which is interesting. But yeah, I did not learn to advocate for myself. I didn't learn to speak up for myself and for what I want out of life, you know what I mean? And I wish I did that more. I wish I spoke up and was like, hey, I don't appreciate this, I don't like this. But I didn't do that as a kid. I didn't do that when I was in middle school or high school. I just, like, let it lie. I let it sit there, and I didn't do anything about it. That's something also I wish I told myself a couple years ago. Like, speak up for yourself. Don't be quiet. Like, you know what I mean? I wish I could go back and be like, you know what? Don't let other people's opinions dictate who you are and dictate how proud you are of who you are, you know? Like, I'm proud about a lot of different things, about where I'm from, where my family's from, That's not something you should be embarrassed about, you know? And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that. Don't be embarrassed for things that people don't understand about you, you know? Because, especially as a kid, like, kids are so dumbfounded sometimes, you know what I mean? And I knew a lot of people that were like that, and that's okay. Some people just aren't educated enough to know certain things, and that's all right. But anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I just wanted to make this video because there's a lot of things I realized as a kid that I did that I don't do as an adult now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't try to hide certain parts of myself. So I hope you found this interesting, and maybe it'll inspire you to look back at old photos of yourself or as a kid and be like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I'm so different now. It's neat, trust me. You should do it. Just look back at old videos, old pictures, and you'll realize how much you've changed. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay? Bye.